Okay, welcome to our Mochi Podcast, the only podcast rated R for Robin. This is the second podcast, and today we have Eric too. Eric, say hi. Hey,
Hey,
cool.
good
Everything's
morning,
working
everybody.
properly. How's your weekend been?
It's been all right. Pretty much typical of most weekends nowadays. Lots of drinking, lots of doing a lot of nothing. Trying to, you know, trying to change it up eventually, though, maybe go out for walks more or something.
Hmm.
But mostly drinking.
Yeah,
Super fucking cold.
I've definitely had the benefit of like having to get up every single morning to walk a dog, and then in the evening we also have to take him out and shit.
That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, having a dog forces you to just get some sun.
yeah, pets have definitely been like a saving grace, I think, for a lot of people during like the quarantine, which is like also kind of shitty because like near the beginning there was a lot of people who were like willing to throw out their dogs immediately because they're like, oh, they might be able to give me COVID, and there
Oh
was
fuck.
yeah there
Yeah, I
was
didn't
yeah
really
it
think
was it
about
was kind of shitty.
that. Yeah. But yeah, definitely. I so one of my buddies recently got a dog, and he's been looking for a while, but he finally pulled the trigger to get one. And yeah, it's like really expensive nowadays because I guess like everybody's
To
trying to
like
get a
buy a
fucking
dog, or
dog.
was it like a rescue?
I think he got it from a breeder or something. Not
Hmm.
entirely sure. Pretty sure it's a breeder. Yeah, it was a
I got
puppy,
into like
so.
this I got into this long ass discussion with my wife earlier about like the ethics of trying to house every single dog and whether or not like every dog deserves a home.
Ooh, that's a touchy one, man. You're treading dangerous waters.
I swim in these. I dive for pearls in these waters.
What was kind of the
So it's
what
like
was the arguments?
my argument is that like so uh, dogs are the way they are because we domesticated them like thousands, if not millions, of years ago, and because of that, they have like this necessary dependency on humans in some capacity, and pretty much every dog that we have nowadays, like anywhere on the streets and in like kennels and stuff, they're all part of like they're all a result of uh, human domestication of them, and so like their instincts and their like survival abilities are based around that initial action, I guess, of domestication. And now that like there are like a lot of places have like overpopulation issues with dogs and cats, uh, and like one like spaying and neutering is like necessary for like population control, but then also there's like do like human efforts to just to try to mitigate the fact that like otherwise they might starve to death. We're partly responsible for that, and so like in my opinion, every dog should be in a home, and then every dog also needs to be either spayed or neutered, unless they're like deliberately planning on having more dogs for the purpose of and making sure that they're going to be housed and have a proper home.
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. Yeah, I don't know why, but I was under the impression you were going to argue the opposite of that.
No, no, I'm not unreasonable. I think. I don't know what gave you the impression that I was immediately going to be on the other side.
I have no idea. I mean, I don't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I thought you might have been one of those contrarians sometimes. I don't know. I don't really know you that well yet,
I am a
but I
contrarian in
guess.
some things. I definitely would say I have some questionable political beliefs.
Don't we all?
Hmm.
And everybody has all these controversial thoughts, but are just, too scared to say
What's something
it.
where you would say that you've got like a hot take that would like give people problems?
Oh,
Like, well,
I'm not
what
sure.
would be your Andrew Yang thing? What would like you have to sell everybody out on this, and this is the thing that's like gonna define your candidacy if you decide to like run for something. We're Asians, we
Oh,
do
I mean,
math, you know. We wear the button, so I do math.
yeah, man, the Andrew Yang thing is like really conflicting to me sometimes. It's like I hate the
Oh yeah,
stereotypes, but he plays into them so well sometimes, and it's like he's like trying to promote Asian Americans, but also
yeah,
like trap us into a stereotype at the same time, and it's like really conflicting. Like, I
yeah. No,
yeah, I don't know how to
I
feel about
definitely
it.
feel you. Do you know Uncle Roger on like YouTube?
Yeah, yeah, I've read about like some controversy surrounding that dude
Mm-hmm.
recently.
He
Yeah.
got punched in the face on the street. I don't know if it was like associated, if it was tied to whether or not he was perceived as like a racist figure or what. But yeah, somebody just punched him in the
Hmm.
face.
Interesting. Yeah, well, I mean, I think he lives in like the UK,
Mm-hmm.
and I feel like the UK can be a little brutal sometimes with a lot of the racial issues there. Well, I guess I mean we have the same issues over in North America too, probably, but I feel like the historical context is quite different over there. But yeah, I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but like
Shit
I'm
happens
kind of
nowadays.
questionable with it, like in regards to like Asians. Because I know in the UK they like one of their like big minority groups is Indians, and like
Hmm.
the way they've kind of like co-opted Indian food to be like their go-to drunk food. It's essentially like the same way Americans will be like, oh, Mexican food is the next most American food. It's essentially like almost any British person I've ever met can like list off to me at least like four or five different like menu items from every single like Indian place they've ever gone to. And like they know all the
Hmm.
different curries, they know all the different like spice levels and shit. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's really funny, right? Like they basically apparently from what I heard, like chicken tikka like comes from the
Hmm.
UK. Well, comes from quote unquote. But yeah, it's like, dude, they went to country, stole a fuck ton of spices, and then they still eat like plain old fucking fish and chips without like any seasoning. It's like it's so bizarre to me.
Yeah, it's funny.
But
The
they'll kill for like a curry.
British
It's like
cuisine is
I don't get
very curious. Like it's interesting that like some of like the biggest figures in cooking nowadays are from Britain, given the like the lack of like an existing cuisine there. Like Gordon Ramsay, Marco Pierre White, uh, Jamie Oliver. Uh,
Yeah. I've actually never thought about that.
a lot of them like
You
studied
know
in
what?
France and Italy.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. I was just gonna say it's probably got to do with that. It's like, Britain being in such close proximity to like, food centers in like mainland
Hmm.
Europe, and Britain being such a
If we ever
dominating
need food, we'll just steal
economic
it.
power, of course. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of it. That's so funny. I never realized. Yeah, a lot of like the big chefs are, yeah, Marco Pierre White, I think is British as well. Um,
I know Elton
yeah.
Brown is I like Elton Brown. He's American. I'm pretty sure he's either American or Canadian. There's a surprising amount of like Canadian celebrities that everybody thinks is American.
Yes. I'm pretty sure Alton Brown is American though. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but yeah, his shit is really good. Like I used to binge watch Good
Hmm.
Eats because the way he approaches food in such a like methodical, like quantitative
Hmm.
way almost is really interesting. Yeah. Like a process driven kind of,
Alton
yeah, I don't
Brown
know. Not sure how
Alton
to
Brown is
describe
kind of a weirdo too. It's something I kind of love about him. Uh, so
it.
there is this show. I don't remember what the hell it was called, but like it's like a cooking competition where each of the cooks they get like $20,000 and they're allowed to bet on on like things that are going to impede the cooking ability of the other chefs, and like everybody then has to try to like make the task dish, and whoever like makes the worst dish, they lose. And so like one of them is you have to like the entire time you're cooking, you're on a fucking treadmill. Uh, yeah.
That's so bizarre.
There's this one that it's pretty recurring, and it was very suspicious to a lot of people. It's like this one. It's like a bar that like it keeps like the length between your arms the consistent. Like it always has to be like this far, and so you're always cooking like like you're moving pallets in a Walmart or something.
Yeah,
And
yeah. It's like those ancient handcuffs.
yeah. And so somebody looked it up, and like the specific bar that he uses is like related to BDSM. And so like there's a lot of evidence and like suspicion that he's kind of a dominating daddy, which I could absolutely see with Alton Brown because he like just the way he says things and like his personality is just very like put that down. Mm-hmm. Very good. It's like
Yeah, yeah. I mean, he definitely has a very calm demeanor, but at the same time projects a lot of alpha-ness
yeah.
in some ways.
It's weird, and it's not like Gordon Ramsay is very much like he's like a football bro, the British
Yeah,
football bro. Like, oh yeah, lads. Alton Brown's very like, you will do this, and I will appreciate it, and you'll like it. You'll like that I
yeah.
appreciate it. Oh, pet my head, Chef Daddy.
Yeah, I feel like I can like whatever he tells me to do, I'll fucking do it. Like I'll jump off a cliff for
I'll
that
I'll
guy
I'll,
if he just whispers into my
I'll
ear.
fucking instant read thermometer that turkey. Hell yeah. I'll spatchcock the shit out of that chicken.
Yeah, dude. I've been quite into like all this cooking shit
Mm.
recently. Well, I mean, I've always really been into cooking, but recently I've been really into watching cooking
Hmm.
videos. I have no idea why. I guess I just ran out of things to watch on
What have you
YouTube
been
at some
watching?
point.
Who you been following?
There's a couple of like newer channels that have been really good recently. There's this guy that reminds me kind of like Alton in the way like he approaches cooking. Fucking what's his name? Oh, Adam
Oh yeah,
Ragusa, I think is his name.
I like that guy too.
Yeah, that channel is
He
amazing. Yeah, like I think I've seen every
he's
video.
he used to be a professor of journalism, I think, and he like switched to just doing YouTube videos for like cooking YouTube videos.
Yeah, yeah. He used to teach like somewhere in Georgia or
Hmm.
something like that. Yeah, he's got a yeah. His videos are pretty dope. Like I don't
Yeah,
know,
the
it just
thorough,
like feels like no
scientific,
bullshit. You know?
analytical.
Yeah, yeah. Nothing fancy going on. It's like look like all these fancy chefs telling you to do fancy shit. It's like you don't need to do that. And it's like, oh
Mhm.
fuck, you telling me I don't have to set my fucking pans on fire all the time and shit, and like flambe this or
Yeah, and
whatever.
he's got that like right dad bod too.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, yeah. He's prime daddy age for sure.
There's another one I've been watching. I'm kind of like sickened by no, not sickened. I'm kind of like there's just something that doesn't mesh well with me in his like personality. Joshua Wiseman.
I had a feeling
Mm.
you were gonna say him because I think I feel the same thing because some of his earlier videos are pretty dope, and then now it's just like I don't know, it's just like I don't really enjoy watching
Hmm.
it as much anymore, but I keep watching it just
He's got
maybe
good
because maybe
recipes.
like yeah yeah he does yeah. I mean his are more like
Hmm.
entertaining than they are like real cooking tips.
Hmm.
It feels like
I got my my sourdough
yeah
bread recipe from him. It's pretty solid. I mean, I
nice
still have no idea what the
nice.
fuck a levain is. You're supposed to make a levain using your starter and like prepare it when you're also doing the auto lease. Auto lease I get. Levain, that's a step a little bit too out of my pay grade.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, dude, sourdough has become like one of these things during the pandemic. Like everybody and their fucking grandma is
Hmm.
making sourdough nowadays. Yeah, I don't. There's like a bread
Everybody like
obsession.
closeted wanted to get into baking, but nobody had like the time to dedicate like a day to like folding fucking dough.
Yeah, yeah, that must be it. Yeah, yeah. Fucking Dempster's and Wonder Bread is gonna go out of business after this shit.
That being said, KitchenAid is going to be their stocks are going to go through the roof. They're the next stunk.
Oh yeah, guys, buy KitchenAid. I fucking saw this on Wall Street Bets. Whoever's listening to this podcast right now, buy KitchenAid.
I kind of want to get one of those KitchenAid mixers. They're supposed to be like it's supposed to be like functionally the like stainless steel cooking of like stand mixers.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I have a KitchenAid stand mixer. So I was really into like baking. Uh, well, more specifically, baking
Hmm.
pizzas. I was really into that when I was back in
I've been making my own
university.
pizzas. Love it.
Um, yeah, yeah, dude. It's like so like infinitely customizable. But yeah, dude, these stand mixers. I got one off of eBay that was like made in like the 80s or
Hmm.
something like that. It's like, white plastic that's turned fucking beige now. And dude, it just runs so well. And it's like I don't see it breaking anytime in the foreseeable
I'm a bit
fucking
intimidated,
like
to
my
be
whole
honest.
lifetime. With
Yeah,
stand
and so
mixers?
so just like anything, anything trying anything new with cooking for me is a bit like intimidating. Like I always like fuck up something like 3 or 4 times before I start getting it right. And with like buying a mixer, like that's like a money investment, you know. Like I also want to
Yeah.
try like get my own deep fryer and maybe like an air fryer thing, but I don't know.
Dude, deep fryers? Oh man, deep fryers. That one is, yeah. You got to really think a little bit about that
Hmm.
one. I got one during like my second or third year of university. I have videos of us doing this too. We were just like deep frying literally everything we can fucking get our hands on. We were fucking deep frying
Oh
steaks. We
Christ.
deep fried like fucking Mars bars. We deep fried like just anything. We tried making fucking funnel cakes. It just like
Hmm.
didn't work out. But we were just like cycling through like these like
Yo, deep
barrels
fry
of
this suck, yo.
of cooking oil.
I marinated in buttermilk. Toe jam buttermilk.
Yeah, dude. I mean, like we probably would have done that. Like I don't know. We just like anything. Like we fucking yeah. We deep fried like Swiss rolls. Do you know like the Swiss rolls you get from Walmart?
I don't know. It's been a while.
It's
Hmm.
almost like a Twinkie. But it's like a chocolate
Hmm.
Twinkie in some ways. Yeah, we fucking just took that. We fucking coated it in batter and fucking tossed it in. We were like, this is good.
Yeah, that's the new American cuisine. Deep can what can we deep fry, and how much will people pay for it? I mean, like deep those like I can't remember what state it was, but there's just like deep fried stick of butter. Like, but people
Yeah.
also like figured out how to deep
Ew,
fry
that's
ice cream and
weird.
shit. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. I've done that. It's actually like quite
Mm,
easy and it's quite nice. It's you think it's kind of nasty, but there's something really nice about mixing hot and cold
hmm.
things at the same time. Yeah.
That being said, don't put icy hot inside your flashlight.
Oh, don't do that. No, no, no. That's I'm not speaking
For
from
a different kind of
experience,
burning
but that does
sensation.
not sound fun. Oh. Yeah, I don't like that. Now I'm like feeling it.
You
Now
ever
I
try
want to feel
making your own
this.
noodles, like pasta and stuff? Pasta,
Um,
noodles, ramen.
yeah, I'm trying to think. I haven't cooked in like a while, but oh, yeah, you know what I did? I bought one of those fucking crankier
Like
machine
a pasta
things
machine.
like for making pasta. Yeah, yeah, I don't know
I'm
what they're
pretty sure it's
called,
just called a
but yeah,
pasta
yeah,
machine.
I guess it's a pasta. Yeah, sure. But yeah, I've made it like a couple of times. I
Mm.
kind of got bored of it. I was just like, ah, I'm lazy now. I don't want to fucking cook my own pasta. It's like my pasta fucking sucks.
Yeah, it. Yeah, to me also, it's like hard to notice a taste difference enough to make it like worth it to me.
Yeah, yeah. I think most of the difference comes from the texture.
Hmm.
Um, the difference between fresh and like non-fresh pasta. But, for me, when I was eating pasta, I was eating it out of necessity
Hmm.
rather than eating to enjoy. That's what pasta is to me generally, so I didn't really give a shit.
Hmm. Yeah,
Yeah.
instant pasta is like it's pretty nice. I'm actually gonna be doing it later today. I'm gonna be making like a big batch of bolognese that I I put it into like an ice cube tray, and then I have a bunch of like ice cubes of like bolognese. And so whenever I want like spaghetti bolognese, you just put it in a bowl, you microwave that, and then you like cook your pasta, toss it in, you just grate some cheese over it.
Oh fuck.
Yeah,
Wait,
man.
is bolognese the fucking like red meat
Yeah,
sauce? Is that what
it's
bolognese
not
is? Yeah.
necessarily a
Okay.
meat sauce apparently, but like
Hmm.
in most cases, people understand it to have meat in it. Yeah.
Interesting. Oh, that's actually pretty smart. I mean I've done like ice cube shit before, but
I've
never like
shut in
a
an ice
whole like
cube tray before.
meal. Yeah, like I've whatever fits in the ice cube tray, like fucking put it in there, toss in the Ziploc bag, and
Hmm.
fucking let it rip. Yeah, like I used to like freeze like pizza sauce that I
Hmm.
make.
Yeah, I mean, I've been
Yeah,
making like a
pizza's one of
bunch
those
of. I've been
things.
making like bulk pizza doughs also.
Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. That's what I used to do. Like I would go to like the baking supply shop and I'd buy like fucking like 20 kilo bags of flour and like bike them home in like the depths of winter
Hmm.
and just like mass produce like 32 pizza doughs,
Oh
store
my
them in the
god.
fridge. Yeah. Well, back in university when I was living with my buddies, like we had like cooking rotations. And we're like fucking big boys,
Did
so
you
we
live in like a
fucking
townhouse or
we
something?
destroy like one pizza each. It was like it was like a student
Hmm.
apartment kind of thing. Like where I went to school was basically a university
What?
town,
So wait,
so
what school did you go
like
to?
pretty much every. I went to the
Hmm.
University of Waterloo. It's
Waterloo.
like an hour
Hmm.
out of like Toronto. Yeah, not to be confused with Waterloo,
Hmm.
like in the UK. It's happens a lot. But yeah, this is a small little shitty town. Um, yeah.
So something that's curious to me. You keep referring to it as as like when I went to university. I know most Americans will say I went when I was in college. Da 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 da. We I guess we've kind of like delineated the which one is which. Do you think that's like a is that a leftover from
Yeah.
like the Brits? Because I know people from the UK they say like, oh, when I was in uni.
Yeah, I'm not sure. The thing about that is, so from what I understand, like in the States, like colleges and universities are pretty much like
Hmm.
synonymous. Like it's pretty interchangeable, but in Canada, and I don't know how it works in the UK, but in Canada, like universities and colleges are kind of two very
Hmm.
different things. Um, so universities over here are like universities like in the States and like most places in the world. Colleges in Canada, we generally refer to like, 1 to 2 year kind of more technical
Hmm.
school stuff. So things
You're just like an
like
associate's degree essentially.
uh I actually don't even know if it's like that because we don't have associate's degrees
Hmm.
over here. It's more like technical school. It's
Mm.
like you do
Like a trade school, you mean?
like you can get a diploma in like CAD yeah, like trade school would be in a
Hmm.
college generally. Or things like, like a 1 year marketing uh
Hmm.
course or something like that. So yeah, there's quite a distinction over here, but I feel like, Canada nowadays has been like importing so much like American
Mm.
lingo and culture and shit that a lot of people do just say college when they're talking like
My
to
my
folks and referring
my
to universities.
understanding. So the way we'll talk about college, we will also include talking about university, like going to a university and that. But I think the breadth of my understanding is that like there are universities with colleges of X, Y, or Z. There, like my university had like a college of nursing, a college of business, or something.
Yeah, yeah, we have that here too, so it gets even more
Hmm.
confusing for people outside of Canada because
Does Canada have the
yeah,
same like?
I
Does Canada have the same like education like markers, I guess, as the U.S. Like, so we got like K through 12, well, and we'll delineate like grade school, middle school, junior high, high school. Is that essentially the same breakup in like Canada?
um I think it's pretty much the same, yeah. Generally, like, you do K to 5, we call that,
Hmm.
primary school or elementary school. And then you do 6 to 8 in a middle school, and then 9 to 12 in a high school. Yeah, and then you do your whatever
Mm-hmm.
4 year degree or your 2 year college thing, um, and then become a doctor, become a
Disappoint your
lawyer,
parents.
become
Yeah.
whatever bullshit. Disappoint your parents, yeah, dishonor,
Dishonor your
all
family.
that good stuff. Yeah. Yep. Kick out of the house, all
Mm-hmm.
that good stuff. Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it's like pretty much the same. I mean, the culture is a little bit different though with schools. Like, from my understanding, like pretty much every school, like in the U.S., requires like these standardized test things. And so like kids are like fucking grinding from like grade 9 to 12, like trying to do their
Mm-hmm.
SATs and shit.
I
And
think we
like
I think
we
we've
don't really
moved to
have that over
SATs. I
here.
remember ACT used to be much more standardized, or like used to be more accepted, but I think they've moved to fucking SATs, which I'm glad that my admission did not depend on because my SAT was shit. My ACT was good. My SAT was garbage.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah. I tried to. I think I was considering the SAT at some point because I wanted to go to
Hmm.
an American school, but I looked at the costs and I was like, yeah,
Yeah,
fuck, you're right.
how does like
Like,
the what are the costs of like school in Canada like?
I mean, it kind of varies between different
But like how comparable
programs.
is it? How comparable is it to
Generally,
like the life changing amount of debt that the U.S. Education system kind of like burdens you with?
yeah. I mean, like, student debt is like not really a big thing over here. I feel like unless you go to like
Hmm.
medical school or something, because well then you just like don't have a job for like the past 10 years, and now you have some money. Like, now you need
Hmm.
to pay some money back. But um, generally, like, yeah, people get a lot of like free money from the government over here for bursaries
Hmm.
and grants and shit. Um, and so typically, like, you would probably graduate with like 20,000 Canadian dollar dues, 20 to thirty
Oh my
thousand,
god,
in
I would
debt.
love if like fucking Canadian currency was dollar reduced.
Yeah, dude, it's
Like
like fucking fake money, man. It's like you can't
you
buy
think
shit
like the
with it. It
South Park
sucks.
thing where like Canadians their heads like split open like this. You think that's ridiculous? Imagine if the currency was called dollar reduce.
Yeah, I mean, we're already too much of a joke, anyways. No more. But yeah,
Mm,
it's like not too bad over here, I feel like. But unfortunate ones where I have like a good job coming out,
mhm.
so I don't can't speak for some other folks. I know some friends are doing like their PhDs and shit, and they're like, fuck this, like I'm gonna be fucking poor. I'm like, yeah, that's kind of sad.
I have a friend who was lucky enough to get like a full grant, a PhD, like fellowship or something. I think he's supposed to be finishing
Mm.
this year or something. I gotta follow up on that. In industrial
Hmm.
psychology,
Yeah.
or
Industrial psychology. How does that differ from vanilla
it's
psychology?
I think it's like specifically around HR stuff and like making sure that like employees are like the most efficient, but also like the most like mentally taken care of. It's essentially like studying how the fuck Google decides to keep people still like still wanting to work there, or like having these like rest areas, these lounge areas, being able to voice complaints to about higher ups, fixing more or less what is currently our broken capitalist system.
I see. Yeah, I don't know why. Like, my mind works in like fucking stupid ways sometimes. Wait, wait, because when you said industrial psychology, I was thinking like, are they studying like the psychology of like fucking cyberpunks or something like that? Like,
how, how do robots contemplate
yeah, I
the
thought.
current economic
Wow, yeah, I'm
structure?
fucking stupid. That's pretty cool. Psychology is an interesting
Mhm.
thing. Never really fully bought into psychology and shit. Like, I don't know. This feels
What do you
kind
mean
of
you never bought
fake.
into psychology?
I don't know, dude. I feel like it's all fake, man. Like, well, okay,
Fuck
maybe
you,
like not fully,
psychologists! You
but
don't exist.
I don't know, man. It's just so many things just feel like fucking
Mhm.
bullshit, you know? Like, even like medicine sometimes is like completely fucking like doesn't,
Yeah,
like
it's hard to figure out what's
people
like
always think
snake
about
oil.
Exactly. I mean, it's like it's just one of those things where like people are under the impression that medicine is like very exact science and
Hmm.
stuff, when in reality it's not a very exact
Hmm.
science. And then psychology, I feel like takes it even fucking further, in that being very very probably like not accurate.
I think so.
That's what I
I think
think.
traditional medicine is it's significantly more bureaucratized, specifically because it is much more profitable. Whereas psychology definitely like there hasn't been profit margin nearly as much as like figuring out like vaccines or different kinds of like painkillers and shit. Like those things are instantly marketable, whereas you need to like convince businesses that like the findings that of your thing are actually going to benefit the company.
Yeah, you got to convince them mental health is a real
Yeah.
thing. Good luck with
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, it's kind of wacky. Like now like also like it's going to be very very interesting finding out after like all the pandemic stuff is gonna like blows over how quickly either we forget or how quickly businesses are able to adapt to the fact that everybody who was still able to like retain their job was and is able to do their job from home, and like
Hmm.
being in the office is not required. Like punching in for everything is not required. People can do things independently without having to be babied.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's gonna be almost like a paradigm shift of sorts. I think this
We're at
is
a
like,
very interesting like historical juncture, you know.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like when we were talking last week. I feel like we talked about how like maybe we need a fucking pandemic every like 50 years or something like that to like remind us of all
Yeah,
this
yeah.
shit. Or maybe I was talking to somebody else about that, but
It sounds familiar. If it
yeah.
wasn't you talking to me about it, it was both of us having completely separate discussions about the exact same fucking thing because it's just in everybody's face now. It's like you have to kind of
Yeah,
question it. But then collectively, we also
yeah,
have like the shortest fucking memory. Like,
yeah, yeah. It's true. Yeah. But yeah, I think this is going to be a very interesting shift, like even for like economies in
hmm.
general. It's like, you know, before, like where you needed to be in person in a specific place to do your job, it's like you said, like we're going to realize we don't need
Hmm.
that. And then people are going to start like moving back home and shit while doing their job. So I feel like, things like Silicon Valley might not
Silicon Valley is
really
already dying.
be
People are
a
just
top
out
thing.
of. People are on their way out of California. People are moving to like Austin. People are moving to, what the fuck in Colorado? Uh, yeah,
Denver, probably,
yeah.
yeah.
People are just
Um,
trying to get the fuck out of California because it's so toxic. It's so like symptomatic of everything that's kind of like wrong with just this skyward trajectory of how the economy is supposed to grow.
Yeah. I mean, but still, like, people are still going to be clustering around things. Like the trends that you're seeing, I feel like are people still clustering around like these big cities and stuff like
Hmm.
that. Like what I want to see is people like going back home, you
Like
know?
like
Like I
reviving
feel like,
villages.
fucking all these economies are sucked dry, just because like everybody's going to like, California to like fucking do their
Yeah,
tech shit. And like now a bunch of towns are just like fucking shitty trash, like
yeah.
fucking
It's kind of
ghost
crazy.
towns, like all the
It's
brain
kind of
drain.
crazy. Like the whole the whole suburban kind of growth kind of came about as a response to the fact that everybody urbanized when places started to industrialize, and now people are trying to flee the fucking suburbs to get back to the cities because there's nothing to do there.
Yeah,
And
yeah. I think you see a little bit of both. I know a lot of people who are moving into like
mhm.
buttfuck nowhere, Ontario, and I'm just like I
Eat
don't
shit,
think I can fucking do
Ontario.
that. Like I would, yeah, eat shit. It's like there's like Toronto, and then there's like a fucking like massive land of
It's
nothing.
like our Midwest, essentially.
Yeah, I've never been there, but I do I wanna make a road trip there sometime.
Yeah.
Pretty not well explored in North
I
America
so
yet.
yeah, I
So
absolutely have that problem with like the U.S. I need to travel. Like I've been to the corners of the U.S., but I have not been driven through like a significant part of it. How much? Just given how much of like Canada is fucking ice. Uh, how much? How much would you say you've like traveled around Canada?
Um, like hardly. Like
Just because.
yeah. I
So
mean, it's kind of
I'm asking because
embarrassing.
like the U.S.
Like,
there like each state has like its own like culture that it tries to say is like so uniquely different, even though a lot of them are like very similar to each other. But like the East Coast from the West Coast, the like Chicago from Florida, Texas from like any place that values life. Uh, there's such like a huge difference in a lot of these cultures. In Canada, I can't tell you. I know there's French Canada, and most of my knowledge about Canada and Canadian culture comes from fucking South Park.
it's fair.
It's the same thing with like the with Scientologists, which was quick
Yeah,
tangent, quick tangent. Me and my brother we visited like the center of Scientology in Hollywood.
in
No,
Vegas, right?
it's
Or
in
oh yeah,
Hollywood, yeah.
Hollywood. Sorry, yeah, yeah.
And we
I've seen
went
it.
in and
Yeah.
we listened to the whole spiel. We saw all of the marketing. We went through like the entire museum of L. Ron Hubbard and shit. Like we saw all of the Dianetics. They tried to like sell this off to us. They're like they're volcanoes shooting shit everywhere. Uh, and then like we got to like near the end of it, and it's like, oh, do you have any questions? Like, how much? Where do you kind of like learn about Scientology? I'm like, I watched South Park. How much do you think you know about it? A good amount. I watched South Park. And then she just had this like a visible sigh of like I understand that a lot of people say that.
Yeah, I've actually thought about this before. Like, I wonder how many like how I feel like Scientology's is that just like like an American white
No, so
people thing? Like, are there like any like
because
Asian
this is
Scientologists? Like, I've
exactly how
never
they try
seen
to
one.
get us with it. So me and my brother, we're both Asian. The person who gave us the tour was from Taiwan. Yeah,
No.
she was Taiwanese, and like apparently like they sent some sort of like Scientology missionary group, and like they gave them money, they gave them like victuals and whatever, and like she's like super like into it, and she gave us like the whole tour, and she would talk to us about like his L. Ron Hubbard's travels and all of his like accomplishments as a writer. It was fucking crazy, and then yeah, man.
Damn. I'm like surprised. Like, I guess I don't even know a single Scientologist, but
It's because you don't
I
know
just thought
people
it
with
was like
money,
like
bro.
the rich people fucking. Yeah, I'm a fucking poor boy. Yep.
Yeah, I can't say otherwise.
Trying to climb
I
the
can't say
ladder.
otherwise if it's just a specifically American thing. Something that I would say is specifically American would be Mormonism. Another cultural center where I got to go to their. I was in Salt Lake City and I got to check out their home and everything. So much white
Oh.
Jesus. Holy shit. I thought the Vatican had a lot of white Jesus. But
Jesus was black.
like Mormonism to me strikes me as something that's like uh uniquely successful in kind of like fulfilling the whole American freedom of religion. Because there's one so much of their text and it's just so much of like their belief and their rules has to do specifically with Americanism and being a functioning part of the government and like Jesus was in America, the Native Americans were bad Americans, so like they were cast out and their skin was turned red. I don't know how much of that's true, but like the rest of it is like what I was talking about. Yeah, it's super wacky, but like they send out a lot of missionaries. They're very visible in a lot of communities where Mormons are there, but they're also not like assholes about their religion. They're not telling you that you're bad. They're not telling you you're going to hell. They're just like this is what we believe and we're happy with it. Yeah,
Hmm.
and we have Mitt Romney, and Mitt
Yeah,
Romney's a
yeah,
Mormon.
yeah. Well, he's a little funky. But yeah, I think Mormonism might be a very American thing. I don't think I've
Hmm.
ever met a Mormon
Oh, if
in
if
my
you did,
life.
you would have been
Um,
delighted. Mormons are cool.
yeah, I'm curious now. Yeah, I'm quite like culturally like sheltered, or culturally ignorant in some ways. Uh, it's funny to say that as like a fucking like Canadian Chinese Vietnamese dude, like, but I feel like I don't know fucking anything about like most people's cultures or like even like Canadian like culture, like white culture. I don't know anything about that shit, dude. I haven't like the first time I went to like a restaurant that wasn't like, a Chinese or Vietnamese restaurant was
Mm-hmm.
like sometime in high school. I was like, wow, this Swiss chalet shit is the bomb. Like,
Swiss chalet? What the hell's that?
oh fuck, sorry. I guess that's a Canadian thing. I don't
Weird.
know. Think of it as kind of like fucking TGIF or TGI
TJ,
Fridays or
fuck my
fucking like
my
Apple.
evening on the toilet.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's kind of like that, kind of not. Like they specialize in like rotisserie chicken, or something like that. I don't know. But yeah, like I haven't had a steak before until like fucking high school. Never used like a knife while eating. Like that was so
Hmm.
bizarre. I still have trouble eating with a fucking fork and
Yeah,
knife.
I still have a lot of like issues when I'm like when I'm trying to eat and I just have like a fork. Like as a Filipino, I eat everything with a fucking fork and spoon, and there always has to be like rice. And so like anytime
Mm.
I'm like having a meal without a spoon, it's like I feel like there's something missing. I was
Yeah,
actually,
yeah. It's like
I
I can't scoop this.
but if I use the fork, it'll fall through the little holes.
Ah.
Something, yeah. This is actually something I was wanting to ask you about. So, like, I can compare, I guess, kind of with like growing up a Filipino and Asian in the U.S. What's like, what's it been like growing up in Canada? Like, what were like your friend groups like? Uh, I don't know how much like stereotypes and stuff kind of like get to you in your life. You know, just like interacting with people.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I feel like my upbringing was like quite like vanilla, very like normal, I would say. Like, well, so the area that I grew up in and where I still live with my parents, it's like a very culturally diverse
Mm-hmm.
area, I guess. It's like a very popular area for like new
Mm.
immigrants, and all of that. So, I grew up with a
Uh oh. Okie smoky, we back.
alrighty. Um, I don't remember where
We were
we
talking
left
about
off.
being Asian
Um,
in Canada.
fucking. Oh yeah, yeah. So yeah, like so I grew up in like a kind of immigrant neighborhood.
You
So I
mentioned
guess
diverse.
yeah, I mean that's probably power spikes and shit like that. I don't know,
Uh, you,
fucking.
you mentioned diversity. Well, what kind of diversity are we talking? Like, you had like Indian families. You had like
Oh yeah, dude, we have a lot of different things. Like we have
different
like
things.
we have like Vietnamese, like so just like Vietnamese, Cambodians, Lao. We got like Thai people here.
We
Not
say it
too
was
much
largely
Thai.
Asian.
No, 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 no. It was like pretty much like one third, one third, one third between like East and Southeast Asians, like and then South Asians. Like we got a lot of like there's a lot of Indians,
Mm-hmm.
Pakistanis, and Tamils here.
Tamil.
And then we got a lot of yeah, and then like the other third is like black people but like our black communities in Canada, I think are very different from like the black communities in the United States. Because I think over here we get a lot more like recent
Mm-hmm.
immigrants. So we have a lot of Jamaicans. We have a lot of people from the Caribbeans, and we have a lot of people from Africa. So
Mm-hmm.
I grew up with a bunch of kids from like Nigeria, from Ghana and stuff like that. So it really is like a crazy fucking mix here. So we got like fucking amazing
Oh yeah,
food
that
in
sounds
my
like
neighborhood.
the best mix.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What the fuck is this
Yeah.
overlay
So
that just
that's the
popped
kind
up
of
on your
neighborhood
thing?
in. I don't know. It looks like the fucking thing that was happening before. Hold up. Let me try turning off and on
Okay.
my video again. Uh, on. Let's see. Oh, there we go. That's bizarre.
So it's you. It's not me.
I don't know. I guess it is me. Fuck.
Oh no, no, we
I
know
mean,
it's not me. It's you.
all right, fine. I'll let you have this
Mm-hmm.
one, dude.
Yes.
um. So yeah, that was kind of like the kids I kind of grew up
Mm-hmm.
with. Just a bunch of like random people from random
How many
countries.
how many white kids would you say you were regularly around?
Dude, all right. So this is really funny. Like, my graduating class
Hmm.
from middle school. Like, I looked at the class, like the graduation portrait recently, like of like where they have like everybody's pictures and
Hmm.
shit. There's 1.5 white kids
Wow.
at my school. Yeah, yeah. Like one of them was mixed, and one was like pretty much 100% Canadian white.
Mm.
So went to high school. Like for high school, I went to like like this accelerated program for like math and science and all that bullshit.
Hmm.
Um, so it was my first time like being around like more than like two or three white kids. It was like half the school was like white kids.
Hmm.
And I was just like I went into like a culture shock, like legit. I
Hmm.
was just like so confused. And it was like my first time meeting like a Jewish person too.
Hmm.
Um, there's a lot of like that school is like in a more Jewish neighborhood, so there's like I was just like it was a big shock to me. I just like couldn't like understand what was happening.
Hmm.
Uh, and I at some point like only in like my freshman year, like my grade 9 year, I kind of got labeled as that ghetto kid.
Ooh.
I broke out of that pretty quick, but I was labeled as that ghetto kid for a
So
little bit.
was it because
They're
you
like, why did
acted
you
ghetto,
talk
or
like
was it
that?
because you were in a like from a minority neighborhood?
No, no, it wasn't where I was from. It was kind of I think it was like the way I talked,
Hmm.
probably. Um, and
Hmm.
yeah, I guess I grew up using like some slangs in the neighborhood that I never really thought about. And yeah, I guess just the way I pronounce things, maybe. Like I have no idea.
I remember the fucking first time my brother referred to an undershirt as a wife beater.
Oh yeah, wife
I
beater,
had no
yeah.
idea what the fuck he was talking about. So we're Filipino. We call them sundews. I later learned they're called undershirts, but he called it a wife beater. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? He's like, where did you grow up? I'm like, I don't know, not where you grew up, I guess.
Yeah.
I'm not married. Are you
We
married?
call them wife beaters. I still don't really understand why they're called wife
I
beaters.
think it has something to do with like the
But
whole like
yeah.
redneck persona thing of like, and they
No.
probably hit their wives or something. Yeah, that's a really
Okay.
unfortunate name for a piece of clothing.
Yeah, yeah, because I mean I like
Hmm.
wearing them. It's just, you got something to strap you
Yeah,
down, you know? Yeah,
apparently one of the
I like wearing
apparently one of like the most popular male undergarments after underwear in Japan is the male bra.
the male
Yeah.
bra. Oh man, okay, I gotta see this real. I'm very curious and confused.
imagine like a
Male
sports
bra.
bra, but like dudes wear it, and that's essentially what it is. It's kind of understandable if you feel like you need support because you got like saggy nipples or whatever.
Yeah, but I mean the way you made it sound like it
Like
was like
everybody wears
fucking
it.
popular. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not see I'm like very culturally like fucking stupid. Like I don't know anything.
Eh.
So if you told me like Japanese people wear like male bras like everybody does, like I'd probably believe that.
Did you know that they keep all of their pets under their hat that they wear constantly? It's like a yarmulke, but it's also insulated.
Yeah, man, like the first time I went to Japan, I was like so confused because everybody was in 3D.
What?
Not everybody's in anime.
Hold up. I had this idea. So I have like a lot of like skit ideas that I really need to put down on paper. This is one that I think would be like fantastic. It's just like somebody they're like going about their day, and then just like weird like sex things start happening, and they just realize that they're like in a porno. Like so, the one person becomes self-aware that they're in a porno.
That would be fucking hilarious.
Like
Dude, you should become a writer for like SNL or some shit. I feel like
that
this
would
is like some
absolutely not
SNL
fly
material.
on SNL.
You should make your own SNL then, Rated R for
Suck
Robin.
nards, lol. No, I have had like an idea for like a studio thing. Uh, uh, we can go into this afterwards. Uh, but if you do like my ideas, I just put in like the writing club in Mochi. this one thing I wrote, it's definitely like I tried sending it to places. Nobody's gonna publish it. One, because the word length is way too much. Two, like everybody says that everything needs to be proofread, but all of the typographical errors that I put in the thing are there on purpose. And then three, like I use like images I just pulled from Google, and it's also part of the point.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could find it right now, but I wouldn't recommend reading it right now. It takes a bit. And
Yeah, I'll definitely give it a read.
the objective was to write something that while you're reading it, you hate it, and you hate reading it. And then by the time you're done, you're like, I enjoy this. This is cool.
It's kind of like the parody movies or like The Room and shit.
No. So like those ones, you need to like rewatch them several times to kind of like get why they're like bad. They're stupidly good. But my thing, like I think I aimed for a more guttural, like a more guttural response to it. It like
Okay.
as somebody who like spends time on the internet and like reading things, and you're like, oh, I hate seeing typos. Oh, I hate like when there are things missing. I hate when there are things that like this is a clear logical fallacy. You're supposed to you read it, and like all of those things are there, and like I try to present it as like an otherwise legitimate writing piece.
Yeah, it's like do you watch anime sometimes, right? Like
I never watch anime. That's the devil's work.
I'm not a weeb. I'm not a weeb, dude. Like I don't watch those Chinese cartoons, man.
No, I fucking love anime.
But there's like some animes that like just super exaggerate a lot of like the tropes everybody complains about, like how every fucking anime has these tropes, and it's like I feel like your thing might be something like that.
I don't know. Wait until you read it.
I'll read it. I'll give it a read for sure. I'll give it a read like later today or something.
Do you actually like manga anime?
Yeah, I mean, I used to watch a lot more anime when I was a kid, but recently I've had like issues like watching things. I don't know. It's just like not as easily digestible for me to watch things anymore. I don't know why.
So
but,
you said specifically watching things, not like anything in particular.
Yeah, like I can't watch things that are like over like fucking 10 minutes. I'm just like, oh, this is a time sink, and I feel guilty about like fucking spending 20 minutes, but then I end up watching like 107-minute videos, and it's like, fuck me.
Yeah, I've been
So
consuming like fuckloads of just video essays and shit that like run. I've watched it wasn't for Harry Potter. I think it was for either Lord of the Rings or fuck, I can't remember what thing it was for. But I've watched over 8 hours of video essay about this like one movie franchise that at most could have only been 6 or 7 hours. I've listened to more thoughtful critique about it than I have the media that it's around. Which I mean, like I guess it makes sense. Like, you know, when you write an essay on a book, it takes oftentimes more time than it takes to like read the book. Oh.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean that makes a lot of sense. I tend to do things like that too. I like reading or listening or watching like analyses from like a bunch of different people on things that I've seen or whatever. I don't know. Sometimes it's like even more interesting than watching the fucking movie. Sometimes I've never even watched the movie and I'll just watch the analyses.
Absolutely. But it's like nice to like get validation from like these other people who are at when you're watching them, they absolutely feel like voices that are already larger than your own. Because like, you know, it may already have like so many thousands of views, and like, you know, you just already feel like they have like a better thought out perspective on like the same thing that you guys agree on. Do you know ContraPoints?
No, I'm not sure what that is.
She's a trans woman. She does really like big deep dives into like cultural things that are going on. I think the most recent one she did was on J.K. Rowling. And like
Mm-hmm.
everything's like everybody's like a quick reaction to J.K. Rowling is like, oh, she's turf trash, that
Yeah.
she's a detriment to feminism. Everything she's done in like Harry Potter and like failed to do and like in her writing is just like immediate there. But she tries to give like a good like like a fully fleshed out thought process as to like why, if you have those feelings, you're not necessarily wrong, but like why you need to be a little bit more uh, like fully encapsulating around the whole argument or like the situation before you just like immediately pass judgment and then like use that same position to pass judgment on other people immediately. There was another thing on like canceling and stuff like that. Really good deep dives, but she also like drinks the entire time and it's really approachable. She makes cat noises. Yeah, I'm just a cat. Yeah.
ContraPoint. Let me note that down. That sounds pretty
She gets millions
interesting
of
because
views
it's like,
regularly. She's a pretty big voice.
oh, okay, yeah, because like I mean I have like seen the whole like J.K. Rowling
Mm-hmm.
stuff, but I mean I never really understood like the context that well. Like I just like didn't really understand like why like just like the big picture of like why people are like hating
Mm-hmm.
on her. It's like I kind of get like why people are hating on her, but like it's mostly from people screaming that she's turf trash. But then it's like I don't even know why she's turf trash or what she
If you want
says.
to watch, if you want a whole picture right now of J.K. Rowling, I'd say the two best like full synopses on it. It's not a quick watch for all of it. But like it really encapsulates her career. The ContraPoints, it's a 2 hour video about J.K. Rowling, and then this other channel, Cosmonaut Picture Show, and
Cosmonaut
he
picture.
and he reviews like all of the Harry Potter movies, and like why her, like in hindsight, like how she's like been making like extended lore stuff, but like, oh,
Yeah.
uh Grindelwald and Dumbledore used to have like violent butt sex. Like
Yeah,
they used to
yeah,
just shit anywhere. Uh,
yeah.
and then like she acts like this is all super well thought out. That she thought about everything before she'd written like the plot holes that are there. She acts like they don't exist. This dude does like a fantastic overview of like one, just reviewing the movies and why cinematography wise they're still solid movies, and like you are absolutely in your right to love them, but at the same time like why it's so problematic that the author is this fucking egotistical insane person.
Yeah, like
Cosmonaut Picture Show,
I still
great
am trying
channel.
to
I love this
like
guy.
grasp around whether it's like okay to like to like Harry Potter, like
Mm-hmm.
to enjoy Harry Potter movies and stuff like that anymore. It's like I never like grew up around like a lot of this a lot of like the PC culture
Mm-hmm.
stuff, so I'm still like trying to like figure my way around that. It's like okay, so the author is a sexist, a racist, and all of that. It's like, can I still enjoy the
Mm-hmm.
novel or whatever? It's like I have no fucking clue. It's like I'm like whatever. It's like I'm like
I
nah,
think you're
I just won't think
absolutely.
about it.
I think yeah, it's definitely like a pain in the ass with like the whole PC thing. But I think it's like important to just like to know how you feel about the piece, enjoy it or don't, one way or another. But then also understand the context in which it was like written or made. It's the same thing with
Mm,
like any piece of art. Like you know, I can enjoy like a lot of like Michael Jackson's music, but at the same time not feel okay with like him possessing child pornography and whatever. But I would
yeah,
also say that's still
yeah.
different from like R. Kelly's whole deal, where there were like when he was like recording shit, there were like women that he was currently abusing like in like the sound booth also, and it was just like part of his
Yeah.
method. Like I can't get behind that.
Mm,
I mean, I don't think
yeah.
J.K. Rowling was like actively like discriminating against trans people during like the fucking filming of the movies or like writing the book. She's got like a trans person chained up to a fucking radiator. I don't think that happened.
Yeah, I guess it's quite contextual in that way, and I guess it's not very
Yeah,
yeah.
I feel like definitely with like the whole cancel culture and the way that everybody has like they have their works and then they have their public persona or like their social life. It's becoming more and more important trying to sort out, especially for like the casual consumer, like kind of where you stand in separating the art from the artist.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. 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 I think that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, I haven't really given it too much thought before, but yeah, I think that makes a lot of sense. Like separating the art from the artist, and I guess how the art was made, like the whole process
Hmm.
of it, and like in the context and all of that. Yeah, yeah. I guess I'll think about that a little bit more.
You're
Um,
welcome.
yeah, I think, yeah, dude. I'm so much more woke now. This is good shit.
Yeah, dude, I'm a fucking alarm.
Yep.
Literally, cause like you got up for like 8:30 to do this podcast.
Yeah, yeah, dude.
You woke
I'm
up to
running on
get
like
woke.
4 hours of sleep. And I'm still hungover. Fucking I polished off like fucking most of this bottle of brandy
Oh, I've
yesterday.
been having
Like it's like pretty much
I've been having
empty.
cognac.
And I don't even fucking like this shit. Like my parents bought it because they're like, oh yeah, my friends were like, it's on sale and all that shit. I'm like, man, whatever. And they don't even drink this
How
stuff,
much?
so
How
they're
much
like,
is
can
that?
you buy
Is
it
that
for me? And I
XO?
was like, yeah, but it's like I think it's like some cheap XO
Uh
or
huh.
something. It was like less than like $40. I
This
don't know.
this so I mean this is like a shit thing. This is like $5. Yeah.
Damn, man. Damn.
This is something
Yeah.
I've been indulging in way too much since I've been abroad. Fucking cheap alcohol.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah, alcohol everywhere is pretty fucking cheap except for in Canada.
Except for the
It
fucking
feels like
Western
everything
Hemisphere.
is cheap. Yeah. Well, I mean, even in America, alcohol is so much
Is it?
cheaper than in Canada.
Legal drinking age 18? Canada?
18 in Quebec, 19 everywhere
Hmm.
else.
Weird.
Yeah. Quebec likes to have their own special rules about a lot
That's
of
French
different fucking
Canada, right?
things. So
Quebec.
yeah, yeah, that's French Canada.
There's no Canada like French Canada. It's the best Canada in the
Yeah.
land.
Oh my god. I haven't seen that shit in
I
so
love
long.
South Park. I'm really waiting for them to come make a comeback. But
Yeah.
they're in such like the awkward position of being having to be the voice of reason in like this otherwise chaotic world, and like it's painful to have to do that, you know.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's almost like the fucking Onion
Hmm.
articles that people can't tell if they're real or not
Yeah.
nowadays. Yeah, there's so much of that. Like even in Canada, like we have our own version of the Onion called the Beaverton. It's like the exact same shit. It's like blah blah blah, like said this and did this, and I was like, oh, what the fuck? This guy's a fucking idiot, and it's like it's fake. And it's like, wow, I totally could have believed that he did this. Like.
Definitely one of like the most impactful, I'd say, learning experiences that I had in high school. One of my English teachers, she printed out a bunch of articles, and we were all supposed to just kind of like read them, dissect them, kind of like take them apart, like get a feeling for it. Um, and like so many of us just had no idea like that one of them was like satire. It was an Onion article, and like it was like, this is disgusting. I can't believe they believe this. Uh, this is completely not factual. This is ridiculous. I can't. That was like a really good learning experience.
Mm, yeah. I mean, I guess yeah, like I yeah, I guess like teaching kids to like fucking recognize this
Yeah,
shit,
I
like
think that's especially
yeah.
becoming more and more important. Like just given the amount of shit that's out there.
Yeah. Yeah. Fucking I wish my parents had that shit, dude. They're on Facebook and they're like, "Oh my God, I can't believe they're fucking doing this, blah blah blah, COVID vaccines, Donald Trump." And I'm like, "Oh man, mom, this is like all fake shit. Like, what are you
Hmm.
reading, man?" Like, I'm like so afraid of my parents, like on Facebook and YouTube and shit. Like, they always find like the weirdest fucking things. I'm like, "Mom, this video is fucking CG." Like,
Hmm. Like,
so fucking
okay,
funny.
so your president isn't a cartoon. He's like he's a fairly reasonable person. I mean, he's still like neo-capitalist, like, but he's also not like super conservative about anything.
Um,
Trudeau.
yeah, well, so we have prime ministers, not presidents,
Okay.
but
Fucking
yeah.
whatever.
So yeah, we got the queen, all
Uh huh.
right. So Yeah, it's a little different here, but yeah, Trudeau's a mixed bag of shit. Like, I don't know. I feel like he was supposed to be like, this cool fucking young progressive prime
Nice
minister
hair.
and everything. Nice hair, nice beard, fucking pretty face. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like he fucking was pretty disappointing. Like he turned out to be pretty much like
Hmm.
any other fucking politician. It's like, there's like promise of, election reforms, and he's like, it comes out like a fucking year after he got elected, and he's like, oh yeah, nobody actually wants this anymore, and we're all just like, dude, this is literally why we voted for you, dude.
Hmm. Are there like, would you say that there are like hero politicians, like in the same way, kind of like the states? There, like Bernie Sanders is up on a pedestal. Elizabeth Warren used to be on a pedestal until she like kind of sold out her career for like a position in Biden's administration. Uh,
Hmm.
like, do you have these like
Um,
powerful figures that you'd say kind of?
yeah, I mean that's a good question. I mean, I personally don't think so. Not for a while at least. So in Canada we have like three major
Hmm.
parties. We have like the Conservative Party. Obviously we know what they're about, and then we have like the
Well,
Liberal
I don't know what
Party,
they are
which is like,
compared to like the right wing party, because our American right wing party is like fucking insane.
yeah, I mean, I think it's definitely not as crazy, but I think it's like shifting towards
Mm.
that. From what I
They
from what
learned
I'm
that like
seeing.
it kind of succeeded in this one place, so they might as well go in that same direction.
Yeah, pretty much, pretty much. It's weird. Yeah, so much like U.S. like political culture has been like slowly importing into
Hmm.
Canada. It's kind of like disturbing.
Mm.
But yeah,
Sorry.
so we have the conservative parties who's like conservatives, and then we have the liberals who are like a little bit less conservative, and then we have the NDP, which is kind of like the left wing ish party. So yeah, like a few years
So
ago,
you
we
said
had
liberals and
somebody.
then left wing party. Like, would you
Yeah,
say it's like a conservative liberal, like more like closer to moderates?
I mean, it's really hard to talk about it in the context of, like
Uh huh.
American left wingism and right wingism, but yeah, I mean they're quite liberal, but they're also like, very hardcore capitalists
Mm.
still, I feel like. But yeah, then we have like, our like democratic socialism fucking party
Hmm.
thing. Um, and yeah, they were a pretty shit party for a while. Like they never got any
So
like
were they
votes.
like a
But
third party
there's
the
this
same
one
way like
time.
the Green Party was essentially for those states?
I mean, not as bad as the Green Party. Like the Green Party's not even a fucking thing in America.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like they're not even on the
So
radar.
like if you were
These
to
guys are always a
if
little
you were to
bit
guess like
on the
a
radar.
percentage as to their representation, either of people
So I
who
mean,
are elected or like they're like if in a large election, what percentage of the vote would they generally get?
I mean, there's been a big shift in the last 20 years, I think. Like before, they were pretty much irrelevant as well, but at some point, they actually even became the minority government.
Hmm.
So the second party, and liberals were casted aside quite a bit.
Hmm.
Um, yeah, and so yeah, at some point, like maybe like 10 years ago or something, maybe 5 years ago. I don't remember. Time is like fucking weird. But we had our kind of like
Circles.
hero politician dude, like, but he died, so that kind of
Uh,
sucks. Now we don't really have anybody. Now we just have like a fucking pretty face, and yeah,
yeah.
no hero politicians in Canada. It feels like.
Yeah, I think the only allusions to Canadian government that we ever see in the states are just like references to like healthcare system, and then like that's probably it.
Yeah, I feel like that's the only thing we do a little bit better. Other than that, like, I don't know, everything's pretty much the same over here as over there. I feel
Mm,
like, well, and education maybe, like the student debt
mm.
stuff. Yeah. Other than that, it feels like the same fucking place. Not gonna lie.
How's the weather right now there? Is it snowy, icy? Oh yeah,
I haven't fucking looked
you said it's
outside,
like
but
negative
it's
whatever.
yeah, it's like negative like 10 or 15 or something plus wind chill
Yeah.
and all
Do you
that.
guys use
So
Celsius or do you guys use like Fahrenheit?
we use
Hmm.
Celsius.
Which is
But
interesting
so
because
it's kind
neither
of
the U.S. or the U.K. use Celsius, right?
I don't know what the UK uses.
I'm pretty sure they're
Yeah, I don't know.
also on like the imperial because they measure things in pounds and like
Yeah, I mean, so over here we kind of like use a mixed bag of like metric and imperial
Hmm.
units. It's kind of weird. I actually saw this flowchart online once on how Canadians like measure things, and it was like quite accurate. It's like so generally when you're talking about temperature, you'd use Celsius, but if you're cooking, you would use
Ah.
Fahrenheit. Um, if you're like measuring distance, like for height, like human height, we'd use like feet and
Hmm.
inches. But for like distance, we would use kilometers.
When you're
If
driving
you're
a
talking
car, is
about
it in kilometers per hour or miles per hour?
it's in
Huh.
kilometers. Yeah, it has like both on the
Hmm.
speedometer. Um, so yeah, like yeah, we use kind of like a mixed bag of
I was
shit. Like we use pounds, but we also use kilos. Like it's
I was just waiting for the entire time. Where, like, when do you start measuring things in moose? It's like,
in moose. Yeah, I don't know. I guess if you live in fucking buttfuck nowhere, which is like most of Canada, I guess.
mhm.
Yeah, I think like 90% or something of our population lives like 100 kilometers from like the border or something like that. It's like
Mhm.
everything else is just like barren.
It's
It's
cold.
like small communities. Hmm. But I would like to visit those parts. I mean, yeah, I think you asked this earlier, and I don't remember if I answered it or not before like my internet died,
Mhm.
but I've only been to like fucking like Montreal and like Niagara Falls.
Mhm.
That's like the only place I've ever been in Canada. I've explored the U.S. more than I've explored Canada, and it's kind of sad.
Mhm.
Like, yeah. So hoping to do something this year or
Yeah,
next year.
it's still kind of crazy to me. So like having traveled around a bit, like the how like I think I have like a little bit bigger of an understanding of like the severe limitations of like your worldview based on how much you've been able to travel, and like
Hmm.
how many other people you've ever been able to like come in contact with, either like very briefly or like or deeply. It's so
Hmm.
much like culturally, linguistically, there's just so much like huge difference from just like, where you're staying home. And like most people, like of the vast population of the world, like more than like 90% of the people are never gonna like leave 10 miles outside of where they were born.
Yeah, yeah. It's quite unfortunate too, because a lot of those communities I feel like are also quite um, like, like homogeneous as well.
Yeah,
So there's, like, you know, yeah. So it's kind of that kind of sucks. But I mean, yeah, I don't know. I think that's like almost a product of like our economics and all that shit. Like,
but at the same
because
time we
even
have the
like,
internet. You're able to see all these other things, and like you have so much more perspective as far as like a job. You can learn anything. You could be employed in most places. I mean, visa stuff is like a pain in the ass everywhere you go, but like,
yeah, yeah. I mean yeah, that's completely fair. I guess that's like a thing of our generation though,
hmm
probably. Like my parents are never gonna fucking be able to learn how to use the internet to Google shit or whatever. Like they only know how to use like YouTube and FaceTime and shit like
how do I
that.
Google YouTube?
Yeah, pretty much, yeah. My mom's like, "Oh, how do I make a friend group on like Messenger?" I'm like, "Oh, I showed you this like 50 million
Google
times.
it.
Like you
What's
just
a
do that."
Google?
But yeah, pretty much.
How do I look up a
That's
Google?
yeah.
Well, I
Like I
well
don't
I
even
on
know how
Ask
my parents
Jeeves
are
will tell
living
you how
like
to use
before me,
Google.
you know?
Say again.
I was like I was like I was just gonna say like my parents always asked me to do like a bunch of shit
hmm
and it's like how the fuck did you guys survive before like you had me and my brother?
how well would you say that
Like,
your parents have kind of acclimated to like living in Canada?
I mean I think they at least like around where we live and like how like their workplace and all that stuff. I think they've kind of acclimated very
hmm
well. Because like I said before, like we have like we have a lot of like Chinese, Vietnamese people
hmm
around here. So there's like never like a shortage of like neighbors or friends and stuff like that to hang out with who can speak the
hmm
language. Same with their workplaces. Like my I went to my dad's like factory
I guess
and
more
it's
than
like all like
acclimating.
Chinese
I
people.
guess more than acclimating, I'm kind of asking about like integrating. So like
Mm,
my parents have like really my parents have like really thick accents, despite having
mm-hmm.
like lived in the States for decades. And um, like a lot of like the friends that they actually bothered to keep in touch with, they're all Asians, they're all Filipinos that like they're going to have like this similar cultural background, but like where you're able to like integrate and like you know make black friends, make white friends, be able to have conversations that with other people from not your own, like just your where you were born, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, my mom not so much because my mom hasn't worked for like 20 years. She's like she's a stay-at-home
Mm-hmm.
mom. Um, but my dad, well, actually, even my mom, like so in my neighborhood, there's like there's like a family that delivers newspapers. And my mom's like pretty close with them, and it's like this Somalian
Mm-hmm.
family. And our next door neighbor is from Ghana, and my dad's like super fucking like they like they. I always see them like outside smoking cigarettes together. So I guess they're like talking about something. I don't know.
These are good cigarettes.
um, yeah, it's good cigarettes. It's like got this from the Native American reserves. um, yeah, like
I got this from
so. I
Smokes
mean,
with Pipe.
I'd say they've integrated quite
Mm-hmm.
decently. But not like 100% still. Like my parents cannot eat like
Mm-hmm.
like Chinese Vietnamese food that well. Um, like yeah,
This is
yeah, it's kind of funny.
something I recently learned about in talking with my other Filipino friend. Um, our dads have no idea what the fuck well done means for a steak. Like they have learned that a steak is supposed to be well done when you order it. Otherwise, people are gonna judge you. But then like they get it and like this isn't cooked enough. What they actually mean is well no so it's supposed to be medium rare. Sorry, I've been getting this wrong for a few minutes now.
I
It
know what you're
yeah,
talking about though.
it's supposed to
Still,
be
yeah.
medium rare, and they order it
Mm.
medium rare, but they expect it to be well done. And whenever they actually get the piece of meat, they're like, "This isn't cooked enough."
Yeah, yeah.
Is that
It's
the
really
same for you
funny
too?
you're saying this. Yeah, yeah. Like over Christmas, I bought like really nice steaks, and I wanted to cook them for my parents because like they never really eat steaks that often.
Hmm.
Like they like so yeah, I cook them like medium rare as
As you're
as you
supposed
do,
to.
as you're supposed to. Yeah, and then my mom was like, "What the fuck? It's like still bleeding."
Are
I'm
you
like,
trying
"Mom,
to
that's
get
not
me
blood.
sick?
It's like proteins and shit. Like it's like the myoglobin or whatever the fuck." Like I saw this on a YouTube video, and my dad was like, my dad was like telling my mom he was like, oh, you're so like culturally like inept, like this is how white people eat the steaks all the time, it's perfectly safe. And I see my dad take a bite and it's like I can see his face like turn a little bit different. He's like, yeah, this tastes good, but it's like I can tell he wasn't like super enjoying
Oh man.
it. And I was like, all right, I'll put it on the pan for a little more, like
There's
so same fucking deal.
yeah. There I was listening to a Joe Rogan podcast. It was with Darnell Rawlings. He was like one of the guys who was like regularly on the Chappelle show, and
Mm.
Donald Rawlings he made like an interesting point. White people do have like a weird fascination with having like the meat like kind of bloody, like the juice of it. Like in most cultures, I wouldn't say that really exists. Like black people, chicken, it's chicken in general, it always needs to be cooked all the way through. But like most black people will never order a steak more than like medium rare if they're like trying. But like most people like they can't deal with blood. Most Asian cultures, like the meat's got to be cooked all the way through and shit.
Hmm.
Like people make like the jokes about like eating dog and eating cat. The meat's cooked all the way through.
Yeah, yeah. Never leave any
but
pink. Yeah, I
it's
mean,
an interesting
yeah,
like fascination with like how bloody it is. Like blue rare is a thing where it's like just barely cooked. You just like sear the outside and everything else is like fucking uncooked.
yeah.
That's too much
Well,
for
I mean,
me.
like steak tartare, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. I've gotten accustomed to eating that kind of stuff, and I actually quite enjoy it.
Hmm.
But it took a little bit of time because obviously I grew up eating like fucking super cooked chicken, like
Hmm.
and super cooked like beef and shit like that. But it's funny you say like like Asians and all that though, because like fucking look at Japan, like look at Korea, they eat shit raw. Like
Yeah,
I
that's
don't
true.
know,
No, but like
like
that's like seafood.
well, I mean, okay, I don't know. I saw now I'm gonna be like, like that Facebook dude, but like I remember seeing like on Facebook that like
What's a
Japan has this new
Facebook?
thing where they're eating like raw chicken sashimi or some bullshit like
Ugh.
that. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, so like yeah, I know like Japan, they've definitely been like very, I would say like in a weird way like experimental with a lot of like the different things that they eat. Like the whole thing of like Kobe beef. It's like a specifically dieted cow, and they've done this for like hundreds of years. I- like there are a bunch of eggs that are very like specifically like this is a super super high class egg. It's a fucking egg, dude. I'm
Yeah.
gonna fry it. As much as you
Yeah.
could point to it, I wouldn't say that they're a good source material for this is
Yeah.
this is
I
an
mean that's
acceptable
fair.
norm.
That's fair. Yeah. Yeah. I mean definitely they don't have that kind of shit in Southeast Asia or like India or like East Asia and all that stuff.
Hmm.
Like yeah, for sure. Yeah, I guess they're the exception.
In many cases.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
All right, so I think we're gonna aim for the hour and 40 mark. We're at an hour 37.
Cool.
Um, anything that you'd like to plug? Anything you want to talk about that you've like been really into that or that you've been working on?
Nah, nothing that I really want to plug in particular.
You got a
I've
fucking
still been
Twitter.
trying to find. Yeah, I got a Twitter. Follow me on Twitter. I don't post much interesting things except for shit posts and
It's
retweets.
strictly for my
Cause yeah,
vanity. I need the followers for whatever reason.
yeah. Tweets are my own and not my employer's. Blah blah blah.
Hmm.
Like, yeah. I don't know. Maybe I'll have something to plug in some other podcast next time.
Yeah,
But
I'd love to have
still
you on
trying to
again.
figure myself out. I don't have any hobbies right now. Like trying to find hobbies, trying to figure my life out. Maybe learn to play music or some shit.
Hmm.
I'll next time maybe I'll have a SoundCloud or something.
Yeah,
I don't
man.
know. We'll see.
Got time. All right. Thank you for being my guest. Thank everybody for listening. Hope to see you guys again soon. Eric, especially.
All right. Yeah. Thanks. This is really fun.
Yeah,
Never done this before.
it's
So
fun. All right.
yeah.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
stop the recording. All right.
Alrighty.